Morning, morning. How you doing? Yeah, that sounds good. See you too. Good. Good. There's morning. Oh yeah, morning. Oh yeah, Steve. Steve.
You get to see him well? Yes. Yeah. Every other week. Oh, that's and every Sunday.
That's my dad.
No, you are.
See what he's saying. You said you will go up and see what he's saying.
Oh, yeah.
Appreciate it. That's good. We're fine.
Kind of suits. So it's kind of suits, but fall asleep.
Good call, Larry, good call. Ready? Yeah. You gonna talk about it? I'm talking about here.
This is just three notes. Imparting some knowledge.
You've got experience.
Then our walks guy, yes.
Check them. He's been really hard. Michael?
We're running traditionally about 5 minutes late, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and get started. Mark said, would you introduce Scott? I said, does he need to be introduced? I think about everybody knows who Scott is. Scott Tate's with us. Of course, he's a local police officer. And he's going to be instructing us today about safety concerns as far as being secure in our meetings when we're coming together. And when, strangers may come in and you never know what's going to happen. So how do we conduct ourselves in these emergency situations? So I'm not going to take much more of his time, but we will bow our heads and go to God in word of opening prayer, and then we'll begin. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day of life, for every blessing that we receive from you. We ask that you will bless us in this time that we have set aside to come together to discuss the safety concerns of the church. That you'll help us and always keep us safe, always keep us in your care, and bless us in life so that we might be able to be better examples for you. Forgive us of our wrongs and constantly keep us in your care. We ask all these favors and blessings and thanks we give. In the name of our Savior, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Scott, it's all yours.
I'll stand back away from this because I'm sure it'll carry enough. Like Steve said, I've been a police officer in Weirton for 24 years, over 24 years. I'm in the 25th year. I know when Mark called me, I had some concerns because of an incident that happened not too long ago with somebody coming in and causing a little bit of a disturbance. I'm no expert. I'm no certified instructor on any of this stuff. Just have some knowledge, just some training classes I've been to. Certain things we picked up. Most of this stemmed from a lot of the school shootings, and then it kind of spread out because we had some church shootings throughout. You had a couple in Texas, you had one in Virginia. So they kind of started incorporating the same kind of techniques, training, learning into a church atmosphere. From going to church here for several years and then talking, I know a lot of you guys already have some of the safety features down that most churches are now incorporating. You lock the doors. So if all your doors are locked, you've already won half the battle. When people want to do something that's easy. If they can't get in easy, probably going to bypass. You have gentlemen out in the lobby, in the foyer, from the time the doors open until everybody leaves. So if anybody approaches, they're going to be your first line of contact. Hopefully, I know they've already done some things here, and some members have started carrying. So they know what to look for, hopefully. Oddities. If you see a guy coming through the parking lot, he's wearing a long trench coat, and it's July, you might want to take a closer look at him because it's not normal. If you do, somebody just comes in, like the last time, and makes their way into the service and starts becoming irate, basically you just want to try to talk them down, calm them down, get them away from the group, side room, back out in the foyer, somewhere, so that they're not completely causing disturbance. And of course you want to be looking. Do they have any kind of weapon? Do they have a big knife? Do they possibly have a gun? Do they have a stick? Anything like that? A lot of the studies they've done so far, since all this started spurring up, is most of the church shootings are done by one person and one person only. You have a lot of your school shootings and other mass shootings where there's multiple people. Most church shootings have been by one person. Most church shootings have been with a handgun. Good thing about this church and most churches, solid, sturdy wooden pews. For most handguns, a bullet's not going to penetrate that, especially if they're shooting from back far away. Nice big wooden pillars. You can get behind these big wooden pillars. If you're up here, these are also great cover. A lot of concealment. There's a lot of doors. Another good thing, which I couldn't remember about how the doors work to the side rooms here, is all these doors open in. Most of these classrooms have chairs, tables. The more stuff you can stack to it, if you can make something from this door to that door, if you can get to one of these rooms and shove stuff against that door, again, if they can't get that door open easily, they're going to move on. Most thing is just looking for things that are out of the ordinary, people acting out of the ordinary. If they're not somebody you're familiar with, I know it kind of sounds judgmental and stuff, but yeah, you're going to want to take a look at them. In this day and age, you can't afford not to. I don't know what other type of safety concerns or anything you have, but a lot of, yes, Dave.
I just want to throw one at you. I just want to back up just for a second. So you're recommending that if we have these pews, instead of mass chaos, let's say we do have an event where a potential panic situation could ensue. Are you recommending that you shelter in place, go down behind the pews, pull these up type thing? Or?
Yeah, definitely at first, if you can make a clear exit. That's the point we're going to go to. The best course of action, of course, is to evacuate if you can, safely. So if you have people in these rooms or these front rooms which have the exit doors, by all means, if you can get there safely, if there's somebody in the back, yeah, you can drop low, because these are going to, they're going to be concealing, because they're not going to be able to see you from back there through up here, at least to get to the door. And they are pretty decent cover. Like I said, most of the stuff with handguns, even some automatic weapons that they're going to use, they're not going to penetrate through all these rows, you know what I mean? So they're going to cover good. But they're also teaching now to actually attack the attacker. Before, it used to be shelter in place, and that's the school shooting in Virginia. They told everybody, stay in place. Shooter just popped in the door and shot everybody as they sat in their chairs. They're not teaching that anymore. So one, if you can evacuate, you evacuate. If you have people that are close enough that see any type of weapon soon enough, attack. Hymnals, Bibles, purses, throw them, hit them, swing them, whatever. They're teaching to attack the attacker. Of course, you want to do it as safe as you can, but again, with a lot of these things, there's no guarantee you're going to escape not getting hurt, but you're just trying to save as many as possible and limit the amount of injuries. Because they have a plan set in their head. I'm going to go here, this is what I'm going to do. If you start screaming, yelling, somebody starts yelling gun, 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 or starts yelling weapon, 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 or whatever you want to yell, that's distracting them. If people start charging at them, it's distracting them. It's throwing them off their game. Now they've lost a whole train of thought, and their plan of action is just going out the window. They have no idea what to do now. So again, you've just created their situation that you now have the upper hand. A lot of people, they haven't done it in churches yet, but like in the schools, they set out bombs or they brought in Molotov cocktails, stuff like that. Again, with here, you want to try to get to an exit. All these rooms, again, like I said, it's so nice to have all these set up. Like I said, this is not set up bad for any type of situation because you can make it into these rooms. These doors aren't like hollow doors, they're pretty solid doors. So the only thing you really have is the walls that somebody might try to shoot through, but if they can't see, they don't know what they're hitting. So if you go in, you're staying low, you're barricading the door. Once they try that door, can't get in, they're moving on. If they can make it all the way through here and haven't found any way to get into anybody, again, now they've lost their whole train of thought. Their whole plan is gone. Then that's, again, another reason why you may attack. I mean, if they get somewhere and they're fascinated on a door, or they come up through here and they see something, you have people over here that see it, they can go because he's not paying attention to them anymore. There's always somebody up in the room upstairs. If they see something, or if somebody outside sees something, or in the lobby sees something, if they can get to them, pretty much you can announce or signal from up there, hey, if you guys come up with some kind of code word or something to let everybody know. Blair's usually tucked away up there most days, so if you guys come up with like I said, some kind of plan of action. Now, he's not going to be able to see anything until they make it further in, but like I said, the two guys out in the lobby is it's your first line of defense, and again, that's going to throw people off because churches I've gone to over the years, I've only been to two. I mean, other than like on a regular basis that I actually went to that ever did that. One being here, and then any other Church of Christ I've gone to visit always has people out in the foyer. And then one I went to when I was growing up always had at least two men out in the lobby. So you guys have half of this nipped in the bud already because stuff you've already been doing, not for any of those type of reasons or, because of the shootings or anything. It's just what's always been done. Doors are glass out there. I don't know. Are they like insulated plastic or anything? Or are they just like the car window shatterproof? Most of them are just because they're an exterior door glass. They're heavy, they're thick. Again, if they can't bust it right away, and most people, again, aren't thinking. Most people think if I throw something at the center window, it's going to break. Windows don't work that way. Your corners are usually your spots to break. So when they throw something heavy, they could throw a rock against the middle of that glass and it might just bounce right back. Will they try it one time, 2 times, 3 times? Who knows? But if they get thrown off, they're going to stop because their plan again is ruined. And now they've raised the tension. These guys out here see that. Of course, they're going to come in here. At least one of them's going to say, hey, we got somebody out here trying to bust in through the windows. So now you're going to have more people automatically are getting on the phone, start making phone calls. Do you guys have anything set up for like an evacuation point from here? You ever talk like with fires or with anything?
I'll say probably something that's not that big. It's probably well over the
And again, this isn't a bad area to get away from here and quickly somewhere safer. You cut through here through this yard, you're on a completely other street. You got houses now in the way. You go that way, you got these whole row of apartments, so you can get around buildings over there. Across the street, you got American Legion, big building, people can get behind. Again, from there, you can start making your phone calls, stuff like that. Biggest thing to do, too, is if you are coming in and something's already taken place, of course, don't walk into it. You leave, get your car, drive away, make phone calls from there, call the police. They'll do whatever. If somebody does happen to come in with a gun and they start shooting, if you are able to take them down, again, one way or the other, whatever you need to do, we're in West Virginia. You are perfectly covered for anything like that. For liability reasons, like if they come in, they start shooting and you shoot in return. West Virginia's good with that.
We have side action.
Correct.
Hypothetical situation, we forget, we miss one, and it's unlocked. Let's say some opportunist takes advantage of one of those. What are your thoughts then? We've got basically an insecure area, and all of a sudden we have a shooter that appears.
So again, yeah, you're gonna if they come, especially from this side, your most vulnerable people are going to be all your ones up here. Because the first thing they're going to see when they come through is this. They're not going to be looking back there. So hopefully they're not going to come in, hiding things, concealing things. If somebody comes through there and you guys are in the middle of service, you aren't really expecting anybody to come from there. So as soon as that door opens, it's going to draw everybody's attention, which is a good thing for you guys. Maybe not so much for them. But if they start shooting, first couple of that, there's not going to be a whole lot you can do other than try to take cover, get down behind the pews, do whatever. Your people in the back now are probably going to get out. Again, if you have somebody here who is armed, there's nothing that says you can't go to one of these corners back here to see if they partake of an exit somewhere else. So if they start to go back out this doorway, or if they just go straight across and go out this doorway, and you can engage them there. At least they're out of there. Everybody else in here is fine. If you do manage to get control of the person, and again, you guys are armed, you get a gun away from them. When a cop shows up, of course, you want to make sure you have your gun holstered. You don't want to be touching that gun in any way, shape, or form. So if there's some way to secure that gun out of sight, garbage can, something, box, kick it away, plant something, just be like, hey, it's over there, we're not touching it. Because of course, when we show up, we're looking for somebody with a gun. So the first person we see with a gun, that's who we're going to pinpoint on. So if having to be a good guy, hopefully there's not an overreaction and the person knows what to do and they'll immediately drop the gun or do whatever. But that's what we're going to be looking for. If something does happen again, and the shooter might still be in here somewhere, again, something that's new, came about in the last few years because of these mass shootings. If people are in the foyer or laying in the floorway here, and people are trying to help them because they're like, hey, the shooter's up there, or we think he went out that front door. When we come in, we are stepping over everybody. We are not going to stop and check on anybody. We are not going to do anything. We will do that after we find out where the shooter went, because that's our main line of defense. People have gotten upset. It's actually caused a lot of officers to retire due to mental anxiety and stress from being in those situations and listening to people scream for help, grabbing their legs as they walk by. By the time they make it back, they passed. So, but that is now the training. It's sad that that's what it's come to, but that's where we are in this society and to this day and age, is we have to find these people first to stop them from doing any more harm. Yes, Blair. You can't be the only student, Dave.
Sorry.
If you are unarmed, I can guarantee you it is not going to work. Just from the couple situations we've had here in town over the past 9 months, if a person is set on a goal that they have in mind, nothing you say, nothing you do is going to stop them. You could be the best talker in the world. You could have the most compassion for people in the world. It doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what you offer them. If they are set on doing something, they are going to do it. And that's just the way it is. No, it is. If our gun leaves our holster, our mindset has to be, I'm pulling this because I'm prepared to use it. You can't pull it as an intimidation factor because it's not going to work. You have to have that mindset that I'm pulling it. Doesn't mean you have to pull that trigger, but that you are prepared to pull that trigger. Yeah. If they have a knife, you better have your gun already pulled. Because if they're now, it is increased even more. If they're within 25 feet, they will be on you before you can unholster your weapon and stabbing you. So if you see that they have a knife, your gun better be out. Our liability is different than when you get into the private sector because we are highly looked at under a very, very powerful microscope. So anytime we pull our gun and use our gun, it is going to be milled over by millions of people, mainly people on the internet, who have no idea what the real situation is, no idea what the laws are. They're going to be judging, they're going to be criticizing, they're going to be doing whatever they can because the police officers are always wrong, or the security officers. Whoever happens to be the good guy is always going to look at for being wrong. It's bad, but again, it's society now. Nobody wants to accept responsibility for their actions, but we have to be responsible for everybody's actions, especially if you're been put in a position of power or authority, you've been given a weapon. There's a lot more liability on you than on the person who's committing some illegal act, especially like being in a power plant that most likely they broke into and aren't supposed to be there. But the liability comes on you now. And it's unfair, but again, that's just the way things are anymore. Did you have another question before Blair interrupted you, Dave?
I just wanted to recap, make sure that if we do have to engage, and let's say, we do neutralize the shooter, make sure right here that you're just correct. You're saying, kick that weapon away, do not touch it because it's evidence.
Right, and you just don't want it to be anywhere near you, because even if you still have him, whoever it is, and you're close to them and that gun is still laying by them, to us, that's still an immediate threat because anybody can grab that gun. So if it's out of sight from us and out of mind, and if we come in and, like I said, you guys or whoever has the person, they're down, whether they're shot, whether they've just been jumped and you guys are holding them down, there's 6 people laying on top of them, whatever it is, once you say this is him, this is the only one who was doing anything, once we get him controlled, then somebody can say, hey, his weapon is over here, it's over there, or we kicked it underneath here to get it away, or we put it in this basket, or it's in so-and-so's purse, or it's in Mark's church bag, wherever you put it so that it's out of sight until we get to it. It's not so much that we're going to need it to dust it for any prints or anything, so it doesn't matter who touches it, how they touch it, because if we have 100 people saying, this is the guy, we're pretty sure that that's the guy who had the gun. I mean, we're not going to need to match his prints to that gun to say, yeah, that's the guy who had the gun. Yes, Mark.
We already have 1 or 2 in the foyer. But like you said, we do have a number that in our congregation that have concealed carry. Do you recommend like a strategic placement? Like, that's what I was wondering, because there's actually on some of the shootings that were, of course, viewable online.
Right.
They actually have been posted at each corner. Is that something you
So
recommend?
what you would, yeah, preferably, the more you can spread them out to have more areas of cover. So if you have one back in this corner, one back in this corner, one midway here, one midway here, up here in this, somewhere toward the front at least. Having somebody in the center, most likely not the best place for somebody who is maybe armed to concern, because if a person's coming through that back, that's their line of sight. This is their easiest path, is this middle. So for a person in the middle to stand up and turn around to confront them, that's going to be their first target. But if you have somebody at the corners or farther away, they're not going to be, again, they're focused. So if it's somebody who wants to come in and rob the, yeah, there you go. I'm tired. Somebody wants to come in and rob the offering because it's up here. And if anybody comes for a couple services, they're already going to know that. And they see it, do whatever. So, yeah, that if they're coming to rob, that's going to be their beeline. They just want to get here. So if there's people in the center, yeah, they're not going to see them. Or that's who they're going to see first. So you want people away from them. And like I said again, so once they pull the gun up, everybody could start screaming it. Because one, it's going to distract them. And two, that's going to draw everybody's attention, because if they're the only person standing up and walking, that's where everybody's eyes are going. So
you were talking earlier about 25-foot distance. You don't have enough time to pull it up if they're ready to shoot.
well, if they have a knife, that's what they have, a knife. Well, if they have a gun, you better be at least matching gun for gun at that point. If you have one, yeah, you put it out. But
I was thinking like 25 feet of each door here, somebody said, and then the quarters in the back.
yeah, but no, with the knife, if somebody has a knife, if they're within 25 feet of you, you can't draw and fire before they're on top of you. There was just a police officer who got killed in, I think, Tennessee. Had no idea. Random call. Guy hanging out the side of a store. Didn't know him. Starts approaching him. Walking up on him. Guy comes up. He got a knife. He was probably within 15 feet. Cops started retreating, started to withdraw. By the time he got his gun out, could not fire. The guy sliced him on both sides of his neck. So, I mean, it's that quick. I mean, you don't realize how quick somebody can close ground. But it's very, very quick.
When you think about that, that's only like 7 steps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but people look at the number and don't think of it in that aspect. Yeah.
25 feet is a lot closer to what you think.
Correct.
Another thought, and this is more directed at the men right now. You brought up about coming to rob. That one right after the collection, that's sitting down there. There's a lot of cash in there at times. What if whoever's in charge of the Lord's table, as soon as that's done, maybe take it back, put it in Steve's office, put it in Sally's office, door is locked, if they come in.
Yeah, those are things too that the church can look at as a group of things you can change to kind of make things harder. And again, if you don't know who some of these people are, like I said, they just show up as a random visitor, which, everybody pretty much, any church welcomes with open arms. Hey, good to see you. Nice having you. I hope you come back, as the saying goes. So yeah, they do. They start coming around, but are they here for the right reasons? Or are they here for the wrong reasons? Are they here to watch stuff like that? So yeah, if they do watch, take up the offering and they see immediately somebody takes it and away they go, if they go out those back doors, there's many places to go out that back door. You could go down this way. You could actually take it upstairs somewhere. You could go into the office. You don't really know. So they don't know where it's going once it gets to that point. The guys that do have concealed carry, or again, like I was telling people back, you're in West Virginia. Anyone over the age of 21 with a valid ID in any state can legally conceal carry in the state of West Virginia. So you don't have to have a permit to carry. Is it wise to go take a handgun safety course? Yes. Or is it get with somebody who has shotguns, knows about guns, go out and shoot with them before you start carrying? Yes. The ones who have them, if you just create your own little in-church safety or response team, just so you know where everybody's at. You know what they're comfortable with doing. Have, little meetings, again, setting up an evacuation plan. If you're here and you're able to get out, you need to go to this area. If you're on this side and you're able to get out this door, you need to go to this area. Have something set in place so you know where everybody's going to be, where to go look for people. Because again, it will be hectic, so people will scatter and people are going to forget things. Or where was I supposed to go? Or they're just going to try to get to the car. Hey, my car's right there. I can make it to my car. I'm leaving. So you come out, everything's all said and done. You start going to these evacuation places or calling people and say, hey, you can come back now. So everybody shows up and you're like, again, the guys out front are sitting there checking. You know what I mean? I know she was here this morning. Where's she at? So now, is she in here somewhere? Is she injured? Did she get injured somewhere else? And then you find out that, oh no, I made it to my car. I went home. So these are, again, this is stuff you guys can set up within yourself and come up with some kind of plan, some kind of number, where people can call and say, hey, listen, if you do get away, you need to call. Hold on, she had her hand up back there first. So.
Should the first response be from people that are in here when somebody yells something? Is for everybody to duck behind the pews? So people that do have guns, those other people are out of the way?
Oh, absolutely. You want to conceal as quick as you can. And again, a lot of these, like I said, with most shootings they found so far with churches, is it's done by a handgun. So like I said, these pews are pretty decent cover as well as concealment. So yeah, as quick as you can get down and out of the way. Again, now they're distracted because they don't know where you went. Did you just duck down or you down and you're crawling away? They don't know. So yeah, if you can get the concealment and then to cover, like I said, these pillars over here, if you can get behind them, great cover. If you can get behind them and then get into one of these rooms, especially one of these two front rooms that have a door to the outside, that's your best course of action. So yeah, best thing to do, yeah, get down if you can. Go ahead, Dave. Oh, you can go as many as you want. You can pick that little brain I got up here as long as you want until it turns to mush.
So if I heard you correctly, you do recommend us forming a security team or response team. Is that what?
Yeah, just so you don't have, it's not random. If you do that, then you know exactly who does have weapons. You know pretty much what their work schedule is. You know when they're going to be here, if they're not going to be here. So if you do have a security team set up and, typically, so yeah, we know Dave sits up there at the front all the time. We can't make him move. We know so-and-so likes to sit here. If somebody is not going to be here and sitting in an area where you guys have come up with as a strategic place for somebody who is armed, somebody's got to fill that void if there's somebody here to do that. Or you'll have to adjust to take up that slack. So say if you have somebody that's part of the team or that is normally here and they usually sit in that back corner, if they're not here and so-and-so else isn't here, so there's only got one who typically sits on this side who is usually carrying, instead of you sitting at your normal spot front, you might want to move kind of like back to the middle a little bit just so you have a better area to cover to have a best reaction time. So just so it's good organizational skills so much, just so you know that who is and who doesn't kind of thing. So.
What if someone's here and you think it'd be a good idea for people to start like throwing some at them so to distract them so people will with the firearm?
If you can, yeah. If they come up and like nobody's really caught them so far, so they get midway here down the aisle, and now they present themselves in whatever fashion they do, pull a gun, or they start talking in a loud voice or whatever. Absolutely, there's people that are behind them that they can't see now. Absolutely, you grab hymnals, grab or whatever you got. You start throwing out. Once they get hit once, they're going to flinch, especially if it's coming from behind them. Natural reaction. I get hit, I'm going to duck, and I'm going to look. So now they're distracted this way. So if you got somebody close this way, as many people as possible can jump on top of them. Once they're on top of them, if they fire that gun, it's going to be at the ground level. 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to hit one of the edges of these pews before it gets anywhere. So yeah, if there's a chance, if they give you that opportunity, like I said, now the way they teach things or they instruct things is to attack. So if you have an opportunity to do that, by all means, because once one person does it, more people are going to do it. So It's not gonna just be that one person throwing a thing and they're gonna stop and everybody else is like, so.
Good point. So we'll give that one right there. Steve was up there. Who I get is big strength doing that.
If you think you're quick enough, they might catch it because that's something that's a little bit big. Hymnals they're not going to see. Hymnals are easy to handle. They're right in front of you. Again, there's probably stuff sitting up here. You know, again, the stuff they're not going to see. If you're getting something that big, they're going to see it because you're going to have to actually move to it. So you want to do something that's close at hand for if you're going to throw something at them, as opposed to going and find something. Go ahead. Right, and I told Mark earlier, what the schools use, right now, when I started looking into this, I came across no less than probably 10 different organizations that are doing some type of active shooter training designed for churches. The ones that schools in West Virginia use, and this is all schools in West Virginia, so it's the one that the State Board of Education adopted it, which is ALICE. The words in ALICE all stand for, of course, something different. The last one for that one is evacuation, but it doesn't necessarily mean you go in order. Like with yours, they pretty much want you to go in orders. Your last opportunity, your last thing to do is fight. Whereas what they're teaching now is if you have an opportunity to fight, fight first. Because when you run or you hide, if you can run and you can get clear, you're great. If you can run, say these doors aren't here, these classrooms aren't here, and you run, and the furthest you can run is that wall, where have you made it? Where are you going to hide? And again, now, like I said, they brought up in that for the Virginia Tech school shooting, they told people to stay in place. But of course, you're not really so much hidden in a classroom. But if you do go into one of these rooms and you hide, so you go in there and you turn a table over in a corner. Now everybody's jammed into one corner behind a table. You're sitting ducks. If you go into one of these rooms and you jam a bunch of stuff against the door, or you have men in there, these doors, are the handles the same on the inside as they are on the outside of these doors? They're pretty good handles to have, just because most men are going to have a belt. Any kind of belt will work for those. You wrap that belt around that handle through the buckle, slide it through. You get 2 or 3 people holding on that door against that wall, it's going to be hard for them to open. If they do get open, if you have people behind that door, and again, you're going to have people against this wall, they open that door. Again, most people that are coming in and doing these types of things aren't necessarily trained. They're not prior law enforcement. They're not prior military. They're people with an agenda or that are just literally out of their minds. So when they come through that door, the first thing going to be through that door is that gun. If you have 3 people stacked against this wall, as soon as that gun comes in, you're grabbing it. You grab those people and you drag them right to the ground. Again, it's another option, but you're fighting. If you go in that corner and that hide, you're probably done. Right, it's all blocked off. So again, federally, I can't speak on federal, especially not now. The federal government is not conducive to people who want to have firearms and carry firearms right now. hopefully it gets away from that again, and it goes back to where it is more, yeah. And and people are actually wanting people to carry guns. I mean, you look at different places, Texas, Florida, where they want their citizens to have guns. Their senators, their governors, their sheriffs are all telling people to carry guns. And they're basically telling the bad guys, take your chances, you show up. West Virginia, it's basically on the property owner for private places. So churches, if you want to allow your congregants or anybody to carry guns, you can. If you are going to have congregants carry guns, but you don't want outside people having guns, you can actually post a sign on a door, no guns, no fixed blade knives, no this, no that, no whatever, and that covers you. But it doesn't make it a crime. But that's supposed to protect you if somebody does come in and something happens. You can say, well, we have a sign that they're not supposed to have guns in here. But you're allowed. There are still certain places that, people still aren't supposed to carry, like post offices, still schools don't want you to. It hasn't been challenged yet in West Virginia as far as I know. It has been challenged in other places, and it's been split on because people are carrying guns because they're constitutional states. They're allowed to carry concealed. Again, same here now without a permit. So they're fighting, well, why can't I come to the school? Why can't I'm just here for a meeting or I'm here for a sporting event? There's no law against me not carrying it, but the school makes a rule. Schools' rules and laws are two completely different things. Minor issue, but we get brought up to us at almost every home football game I'm at. Hey, these parents are over here smoking, or this people over here, they're vaping. They're right outside the gate. They're outside. There's a school rule against it. It is not illegal. Had the school PRO come up to me and go, yes, it is. I said, show me the code. He can't show me the code because there is no code. Teachers are allowed to smoke inside of a school building if they are in their private office that is not generally open to students by law. So, I mean, it's just one of those things. Laws and school rules are completely different. Federally, as a police officer, I'm allowed to carry a gun anywhere I want. However, I can't legally carry a gun in the state of Maryland. Couldn't tell you why, but I found out the hard way. They are sticklers on it. Not by me, I just happened to be there. I'll give you a brief story. Taking a bike trip, going down to Maryland. We leave from Weirton, right across the state line from PA to Maryland. Every single one of us in our group has a gun. 2 of us are law enforcement, 2 are not. Go into a truck stop, have lunch, come out. The guy decides to adjust his firearm, which is in his boot, and it's basically a thin nylon sheath, and his finger pulls a trigger. Shoots himself in the ankle. Whole other story, but so of course now, the cops show up, and it's Maryland State Police because that's who covers it. My gun's in my front pocket. My buddy's gun's on the same ankle because him and his dad had the same gun and the same ankle holster. The other guy, fortunately, left his in his bike. He's fine. They charged his dad with carrying concealed firearm in a vehicle, which he was never in a vehicle. We were on motorcycles. And for carrying a concealed loaded weapon. Didn't charge him whatsoever for discharging a firearm within 100 feet of a building, let alone we were only 10 feet outside the front doors. Didn't charge him with that. Their laws in Maryland for that are 1 to 3 years in jail and a $100,000 fine for carrying a concealed gun. So basically he fought it, and this was after New York said that making people have concealed carry permits was unconstitutional. Maryland doesn't care. Maryland requires their own police officers, certified Maryland police officers, state police or whatever, if they're not going to a work-related issue or court, they're not even allowed to carry a concealed weapon in the state of Maryland. So different states are different. Said, fortunately, West Virginia is very, very open, has become more open. Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. Because any Joe Schmo, 21 years of age, with a valid ID, can carry a gun. And we don't know they have it, because they're allowed to carry concealed. Luckily for us, this is a really, really, really good area. Not just Weirton in general, but pretty much the whole northern panhandle. We're pretty fortunate up here with being as close as we are to Pittsburgh and Steubenville, that we don't have a lot more issues than what we do. But most of the people who do carry up here are law-abiding citizens. They're carrying on for the right reason. They're not out to say, look, you know, I'm a tough guy because I can carry a gun or whatever. And they're not out doing something goofy with them. You know, they're not just pull them out on stuff or pull them out on people to show them off or whatever. So we're pretty lucky with that kind of stuff as well. But churches, yeah, you can carry. Yeah, West Virginia kind of went away from actually calling it the Castle Doctrine now, because Castle Doctrine was pretty specific on what areas you could do. And that extended to the curtilage of your home. So basically now it's just you're not required to retreat anymore. So before they brought in Castle, you had to have no means of retreat inside your home to discharge a weapon, even if the person had a weapon. If there was somebody outside your house, you know, shooting up your car, flattening your tires, whatever, if you went out there and shot them with a gun, you were going to jail. Now it is kind of extended to that. You're still allowed to confront them. If they approach you or come at you, by all means, you're allowed to protect yourself. If they're running away, you can't shoot them. But you don't have to retreat anymore. Dave, or Claire. Woo. What type of scenario are we in? Are you in an outdoor setting? Is it your house, or if you're here? If somebody comes in and they fire a shot, it's open game. You don't have to announce. You don't have to tell them to drop their weapon. You don't have to do anything. If they come in and they fire a shot, you are allowed to shoot back. If you feel threatened or you feel they're going to use it, you're still covered by firing around. Mm-mm. No, because you're protecting others. You're in fear for somebody else's life. That's all you have to show in the state of West Virginia. Good. Again, if they make it to this point and they make it up here before anybody notices they have a gun, and they have, sure, you can let them take it. Because if that's their only goal, at the end, money's money. If they make it to this point and they get the money, and nobody's had a chance to react at that point yet, if they're making a beeline back to that back door and they're running, yeah, let them go. There's no sense for anybody to get hurt if they don't have to, or to put anybody in a traumatic situation if they don't have to. Because if you do have to shoot someone, that's taking its toll on you as well as everybody else who's here that's going to see it. It's like being in a bad accident. If you're in an accident and somebody dies or somebody gets injured bad, just because it's affecting them doesn't mean it doesn't affect you, doesn't affect other people who've come up on the scene or bystanders who saw it happen. It affects a lot of people. So the same way, if you start shooting at them as they're running toward that back door, it's going to affect a lot of people. If you don't have to, then don't. So the way West Virginia looks at it, it used to be broken down a lot more, but once they did away with the concealed weapons permits, it used to break down what a weapon was. Now pretty much anything is classified as a weapon. So when they came out and said that over age of 21, valid ID can carry a concealed weapon. Before in West Virginia, if you had a permit, you could carry a gun, you could carry any concealed weapon. Weapons at the time constituted switchblade knives, brass knuckles, your expandable batons, small clubs, flakjacks. Any of those things were classified as a weapon. So if you had a concealed permit, you could carry those. Now, since you don't have to have a permit, those again are not classified as being illegal or a weapon. It's all carried as a concealable item, and whatever it would be for protection or whatever you want to claim it's for. But it's not, they're not the same as they used to be, or not classified the same. So a weapon is a weapon is a weapon is a weapon. So if they have a bat, you have a gun, sorry about their luck, they chose the wrong one. Or they have a machete and they're far away, or they have a knife or pull a pocket knife, again, you chose the wrong one. If they're threatening somebody, or you feel anybody feels that they're in fear for their life or somebody else's who's here, you have all means to protect that life without any harsh liability. You're not going to get arrested criminally or anything like that for protecting somebody else's life.
We all know who we are. You know who most of us are. But if there's a situation and there's somebody down, and one of our members has a gun holding it on that person until someone else comes in, not you would know Mark Blair today. But if another police officer comes in and they see them holding the gun to keep them at that point, how do they know that they're the good guy? You know, how do you guys?
They don't. That's why police officers are different and have different rules, because we do have to make all attempts to disarm you by other means before we fire a round. So we are going to tell you, drop the weapon, get down on the ground. Toss the weapon, get down on the ground. Hopefully once we're here, a sensible person is going to realize, okay, I can back away from this person. They could back up, toss the gun, drop the gun, get down on the ground with that same person. We'll sort it out later. Once we get everybody control, you can say, yeah, that guy's a member. This is the guy who came in. But the first thing, you're going to want to get rid of that weapon, because, yeah, we're not going to know. Yeah. Yeah, because if we're responding to a situation like that, one person is not going to come in. Our department is one of the last remaining holdouts who has a minimum. We have a 5-man minimum. We have a minimum of 5 guys out every single turn, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if it comes in that there's an active shooter in here, one, you're going to have our 5 officers minimum. On a good day now, and we just had 3 more graduate the academy. They're hoping they'll be on their own in August. If we have a full crew out, we will have 8 guys out on the road. If it's a Wednesday evening, we have 8 guys. If it's a Sunday daylight, 8 guys max, because all of our detective stuff don't work. But if they call an active shooter here, first thing we're going to do is, if we get here and say, yeah, it's legit, most likely though, Hancock County is going to be coming already. I think they have a 2-man minimum. So there's going to be at least 2 deputies out. If there's a trooper out, they monitor our radio now. So any state police is out here, they're going to be coming. So at a minimum, if we only have our 5, with the 2 counties and state police, you're probably going to have 10 officers showing up at a minimum. So when we come, some are probably going to cover these doors, probably get 2 at each one of these doors when we roll in, where we see when we come in, they're going to come and cover. The rest of them are coming through those back doors. So there's going to be enough of us to handle. If the person's already down, yeah, there's going to be enough of us to take care of it when we get here.
You know, another good thing, Valerie, what you talked about,
As I said, there's a lot of things here already that are set up that are going to benefit to begin with, and it's just stuff that you guys do on a normal basis. So it's nothing you're going out of the way of. It's not something you have to, present to the congregation to come up with money to buy something. There's a lot of things here you can already utilize. Those hinges on those doors, I mean, it's not something easy because the way they slide. The old-fashioned bigger doors like that had like the scissor hinges at the top. There's not much room out there, but if you heard a commotion out there, there are ways. Again, you could take a belt, wrap it around that hinge. Some places make sleeves out of like old fire hose. You can just slide right over it. They actually sell things now on Amazon. They're made just for that. They're like hard rubber or hard plastic. Literally slide over that hinge. You can't open that door. Like I said, these ones are a little bit different because they slide and there's only one bar out. So there's no real way to quickly secure that other than it looks like you could use screws to tighten it so it won't open. But there's just no real quick way to secure the inner doors. So the outer doors being locked, huge deterrent just from the get-go. If they can't open the door right away and just barge right in, you may stop them right there. Yeah, now everybody's locked in. Yeah. There's things you gotta, like I said, look at as a whole. But with the doors being locked from the outside, once again, most people are in here. But again, if it's somebody who comes in unnoticed, they're all going to be in here. So now they're going to have the same issue, though. I mean, they'll be able to get out with these doors, but once they're in here, they're in here. So it's just going to be who notices them, what their actual intent is. Most times it's just they just want to try to get some kind of attention for something they felt they were wronged for. So hopefully they aren't armed and they just stand up, start screaming, yelling about how they were wronged by. It could be some church when they were 10 years old. I mean, it had nothing to do with it. It could be they're going through a divorce. It could be they got fired or lost their job. I mean, you don't know. Those kind of people, hopefully you got enough people around that can at least talk them enough to get them away from the crowd. And then by all means, if you guys want to set up a program, if you have that type of situation that gets to that point where it's that bad, if you have people start slowly just evacuating out the front door just in case because you don't know, then again, that's a plan you guys can come up with, set up with. But if it's something, that they can get them out quickly and you just want to continue on, then again, that's on you guys as well. Dave.
I'm thinking of a situation where we're in between services. We have Bible study in the morning, and we have worship. And we've got ingress and a lot of people that time. So we don't lock the door.
Right.
Okay. I'm thinking of a scenario where if you wanted to do massive shock and awe, and it wasn't for whatever reason somebody wants to come in, I would think it'd be very just running a scenario in my head. I'm thinking, okay, what if this person gets confronted and for whatever reason they take a hostage? How should we handle that? And it's assuming we're coming from the back, because that's where most folks are going to come in. That's assuming these doors are locked. How would we handle that? Some thoughts on that?
Again, if they have a hostage, they're going to be focused on that one person, that one specific person. So at that point, you're going to probably want to get as many people out as possible so he doesn't have more hostages. Now, if he pulls away from that hostage and starts pointing at other people to start claiming hostages, again, have great cover and concealment up here with these pews. If you just drop down, he's going to start losing people. He's not going to know where they're at. So again, trying to make your way, get somebody out to call for help. Because in here, it's going to be hard. If anybody he can see, if you pick up the phone, he's going to know. Again, you got that bird's nest up there, the crow's nest, as they might call it on a ship. But Blair's sitting up there. Once they make it past the point, or whoever's sitting up there, there's always somebody up there. Once they make it past that certain point, they might not know they're there if it's not somebody who hasn't come here and noticed anything. So he's going to be able to see it. He's going to be able to call for help. Now he could go up, and again, those doors open outward. So if you have things out there, there's pews out there. If you get to this point and he has a hostage in here, if somebody's back there and they shut those doors and you slide those pews over in front of those doors, now he doesn't have an easy egress back out that way. So now he's kind of trapped in here. So whoever can make that call, whether it's Blair up there or you can get people out here that can make, hey, law enforcement, yeah, we got him and he's jammed at least in this area. We know he's not coming back out this way. So we know he's here, so we're going to definitely cover these access points because that's his only other way out at this point, and we'll already have people back there, like when we arrive. But once they have a hostage, you're pretty much stuck. I mean, unless you're very, very, very confident of what your abilities are. Again, if he makes it to a point and he's not paying attention to where you can tackle them both and feel safe in doing that person's not going to get hurt or at least not get killed, then if you have an opportunity to take them down, you can still take them down. Because again, they're going to be focused on that person and they're going to be looking one certain way. They're only going to have, obviously, most likely one weapon if they're holding somebody close to them, because they're going to need this hand free to hold on to them other than just holding a weapon on them. So they're only going to have one. So again, things have changed just because they found that the more people react or started fighting back, the actual less casualties you had than you did if people ran and hid. So of course, it's all statistical based by these companies and these corporations and stuff because that's how they show their margins to make their profits to sell their product. Right. So, and because that's what it is. I mean, even though they're preaching safety and they want to help people, to them it's all about the bottom line. They're there to make $1 too. So that's the statistics they're going to use, and they're going to show you that, yeah, if you react more than you do hide, then your numbers of casualties are going to be a lot lower. I think it was only like 58% of incidents that happened in churches. I think it was from like 2009 to 2015. Only like 53% of them were armed at all. It was usually just came in, some type of screaming, yelling, causing some kind of disturbance, disruptive. People come in, they start immediately spray painting stuff on the walls or throwing stuff, whatever they had. I mean, there's different places that they've came in and thrown fish parts. And when you start looking at this stuff, people have done some off the wall things at churches to try to get whatever their point was across. So fortunately, again, a lot of them dealing with churches have been low percentage with deaths, casualties, stuff like that, because people aren't going there mainly to kill people unless it is an immediate domestic type situation. Husband and wife split up and one or the other loses it and knows that, hey, they go to this church and I've had it, I'm going to go there and I'm going to end it right now. Or again, you lose your job. Hey, I know my boss goes to this church. I'm tired of it. I try to talk to him. I'm going there. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to let everybody see what kind of person he really is. You know what I mean? One of those type things. So unless it's a focused event like that, then there hasn't been too many just random out of the type shootings that have ended in a lot of casualties in churches. So the last couple have been the main ones, but.
I watched the active self-protection channel. And a lot of those school shootings and stuff, they usually carry more than one weapon.
School shootings, yes. Church scenarios, so far they have only found people who've used one weapon. There was it's a good show on Netflix. It's a series. It's a docu-series, but it's active shooter, and it's a lot of active shootings that have happened just in the United States. Even the main ones on that have the type of church. One they went in, they did a lot of destruction inside the church, inside the temple. Fortunately, and I don't know how the guy that the first officer on scene is an absolutely amazing individual. When they finally found out he had been shot 17 times, but he managed to pin them down enough to where other officers arrived, they were able to stop the threat. But again, each shooter only had one gun. A couple other scenarios on there. One was an office setting. They were actually CPS workers. One guy, one gun, and then he left and his wife came with him. Again, she only had one weapon. So those ones aren't carrying multiple weapons. The school ones, they're making their own little flash bombs, they're making their own little pipe bombs. They're carrying handguns and rifles, automatic weapons, semi-automatic, revolvers. They're carrying as much stuff as they can because they want to do as much damage in a little time as possible because that's all they're there for is to cause damage. Usually people who are going to churches, they're trying to get their message across, whatever their message might be, as abstract as it might be, that, you know, you're going against what their beliefs are or whatever. So they're there to make a point, not to kill people. School shootings, they're literally there just to kill people. That is their whole outlook on it. They want to kill as many people as they can in as little time as they can as possible. The church shootings haven't shown that so far in statistics.
Yeah, my point is, you need to be aware that even though they may do them, something like that, one buck off of them, they may certainly have another weapon or a vest or something on them.
And they could, but if you have them down, they're probably not going to have the means to get to that weapon. So if you've already taken them down, or if you've shot them and they're not moving, they're not going to have any means to get to that weapon. Again, that's where if you have people who are part of a safety team, if law enforcement isn't here yet, you're probably going to carefully approach them because you want to get at least the gun they did have away. There's nothing wrong with checking them, see, roll them over, see if they have something still tucked in their waistband or something inside of a vest or inside their pant pocket. There's nothing that says you can't check them and take it away from them. If you're piled on top of them, if you can secure their arms, you want to secure their legs, so you want to spread out. If you have them knocked down, you want a person pressing down on the back of their head, whatever it is, how many people you can get on each arm, however many people you can get on each leg so they can't move, they can't do anything. And you want them pinned, basically. So hopefully they can't get to anything else. Jared? Go ahead, Jared. That's all right. If they have a bomb, again, just personal opinion, you know that that's not going to be a good scenario if you do attack them. You pretty much know that you're going to sacrifice yourself at that point. But if you do that and they do set off the bomb and it is on them, they're also stopped. So, I mean, it depends on how you want to look at it. But you know you're going to be a sacrifice in that situation. But depends on which one.
It was about the guy committed looking for help, financial help.
The church out there. I don't know about that one. I knew the one they had here. Not really so much for his son, but I know that he showed up here and they were looking for supposedly help. But
This guy, he came in afterwards. We lost it. He was quite 3/4 way after the sermon. He was looking for help for his boy to get to Pittsburgh, get some gas money, that kind of stuff. But didn't speak English, and he waved the card. So we all reacted pretty well, not being trained. They a lot of street smart people. So one person went and took a picture of the license plate. 3 of the guys went and manned the doors to see if somebody else was coming in. Everybody reacted pretty well. Nobody panicked. But it is vitally important to all situations don't start out fighting. Start out very calm, very nice. I need some help. I need some money.
Anything that's going to involve a shooting, like I said, that's something they've already preset and predetermined. That's what I'm going to do. A lot of these feels like, again, with most of churches, it is just a disturbance type thing. So they do like that. They show up and then if you say, well, let's go talk about it here, and they went, why do I got to do it? They might want to raise their voice. And again, that's when you just kind of like escort them away the best you can, or shuffle them to a side room or something. But yeah, and you just try to talk to them.
I was a designated person to frisk him down without him knowing it. So I put my hand on his back, above his back, on his shoulder, holding him to the waist. So he didn't have anything. I had mine, but and everybody else reacted pretty well for the situation. Not planning, not preparing for it, but we're much better prepared now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is preparation. Like I said, you guys have dealt with a situation. They've kind of dealt with one here. So if you put like a team, or at least who your main players are, like you the group of guys over there. If you have a group of guys here, again, you guys can talk amongst yourselves, set things up. So you, again, like I said, you were the person designated to. So if you have somebody who is easily approachable, because I mean you don't look intimidating, you look very professional. You know what I mean. So he's probably not going to be threatened by you approaching him. So yeah, you can get a little closer. You can put your hand, hey buddy, whatever. You can start doing stuff like that. This is probably not a guy you want walking up to him to say, hey, because he's a boisterous guy. He's very energetic. No, I'm good. The water's good. He's energetic, so you know what I mean. He's yeah.
More unlikely to be the confrontational person. They're the ones perhaps going to get.
Especially if you're dealing with somebody from another country. Not so much. I wouldn't say if they're Mexican or okay, we'll go Mexican. If you're Cubans, you're Venezuelans and stuff, they look down on women as being inferior. So yeah, they're definitely not going to be threatened or intimidated by a woman. Like they're not even going to take a second glance at a female. So if they're armed, they're going to be your best allies, because people like that aren't in Middle Easterns. Of course, they think women have no value whatsoever other than their children. So again, if you have a woman who's got a gun, they're not giving them a second look. So,
Well, I appreciate it, man.
hey, no problem. Like I said, I'm no expert, but
You're more of an expert than we are. Sorry about having to get up.
oh, you're fine. It doesn't bother me. I'm used to going to our trainings where it's like, yeah, they tell a lot of, well, it depends on where we're at, but a lot of guys, like, if you got to get them to take a break, just go. We'll carry on without you, and we'll come back. So people moving around doesn't really distract me.
Carry state now, so basically, but
Essentially, yes.
Still, it's good to get your permit too. Isn't it?
Well, if you want to carry in other states, it's good to have your permit. Because if you have your permit in West Virginia, you can carry in Ohio, you can carry in West Virginia, you can now carry in Kentucky. I think Tennessee might now be part of it. I'm not sure where else. Virginia, I know, was looking into being reciprocative with West Virginia, and vice versa. So anywhere that we're reciprocative with us, we are with them. So if you have a Ohio permit, you can carry in West Virginia. But now in West Virginia, you don't need a permit at all.
Yeah, just
So
to carry.
unless you're only 18. So an 18-year-old who technically isn't old enough to go buy a gun in the state of West Virginia can legally carry a gun if he goes through the handgun safety course and gets his concealed carry permit. Yeah. Now, they can do hunting rifles, they can do shotguns, they can do that kind of stuff, but they just can't carry a concealed pistol. Yeah. So I don't know what fees and stuff are. There's Alexander Armory down on Main Street. It's Main and Virginia, and it is an indoor shooting range. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The old Mill 5 Gate, or you know where the old stadium was? High school football stadium. That road is Virginia Avenue. Right there on that corner from Main Street is Alexander Armory, and there's an indoor firing range. There's also one Robinson area, Pennsylvania. That's fairly cheap. I know it's an indoor range, and if you do like a monthly membership stuff, they even give you so many rounds that you can shoot per month and stuff like that. So I know a couple of our guys actually from our department belong up there. For us, I mean, we have two different ranges. We have an indoor and an outdoor range that we can go shoot out anytime we want. There used to be an outdoor public range in PA, right across the state line, Paris Sportsman's Club. I don't know if it's still open to the public anymore. Did they close it off finally? Yeah, so you used to be able to go to that range all the time, almost 24 hours a day. So, yeah, there used to be. Yeah. There was one down on North Fork Road too for quite a while, but again, it's insurance companies, biggest crooks ever, and they start raising. Well, you have to have this liability insurance if you're going to have a range, or if you're going to allow people just to come shoot, and if they're not members, because the members aren't covered by their insurance. If it's a non-member, it's just a person, they're not covered. So if something happens, now you can sue them, and they don't have the right coverage. So a lot of people just shut it down. I can check my notes and see if there's anything I haven't covered yet, because I haven't looked at them yet. She's a planner. See, I know I covered that point. And that's it was like it's probably been over a couple months ago now, or a month or so ago. No, we had one here too. I mean, I wasn't on, but I read about it, and then I know the one they had at Carter's Way as well. They were within like a couple weeks of each other. The one here, I don't think made it inside here. I think he was just at the back. Similar story, but he wasn't. I can't remember what it was now. What he was looking for. I know that one over there was claiming he was trying to get money to get his son back to Pittsburgh, and they had an unmarked white van and all this other stuff. So it was just really, really weird over there. The one here, he came because he wanted to get help because he said he needed food or something, and they were like, "Well, I can't help you right now. You come back after service or whatever." And I guess he just kind of like went a little bit mouthy, but I don't think he ever made it in. I think he got stopped back there, and then he just got frustrated and just left. So, but I don't think he ever made it in. I don't think it's gotten anything more than what it already has been. I think it's just expanded on what it already was, because these are people that we've all dealt with before, and they've just kind of made it to breaking points to where they actually did what they said they were going to do, a year or so ago.
isolated.
Which
The
house?
Miami.
Oh, we've been there hundreds of times
Yes.
for different things. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that was probably just something that was completely unforeseeable because it wasn't planned. It wasn't organized. I mean, it just popped off. Yeah, they're all isolated. I mean, everything that we deal with, we haven't had any random type shootings or even murders. And our last one was probably 15 years ago, 10 years ago. But most of the ones we have now are from domestic situations. Husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, baby mama. Yeah, and again, that was, he barricaded himself. They had one on Weir Avenue, same thing. It was,
See, I've heard, on and off all downtown. I mean, that's normal, but now it's come up here. So
no, I mean, these people can be anywhere.
it's encroaching.
Yeah, but the one on Penn Avenue, that started off with the domestic situation. So his baby mama basically broke up with him. And he had a lot of things going on. A few months prior, he had his child died. That incident happened. I think he lost his job. It was just a combination of things that all built up. And he already had PTSD and stuff from the military, and everything collapsed on him at once, or so he felt, and he felt that was his only way out. Yeah.
I just wondered if there was more chatter and with what is going on, like I said, over the PA, it's getting closer, it's coming closer to the Burgettstown area. And, it was Philadelphia, it was really bad, and then the next time it was closer, and we got Pittsburgh.
Well, the bad part is a lot of these places where a lot of these mass shootings and a lot of the high crime stuff happen. Philadelphia, New York, DC, Chicago, Detroit, all the places that have very, 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 very strict gun laws.
I know, isn't that something?
So how you get guns? It's because they're illegal. I mean, people are going to they're not following the law. You're fine. I mean, most thing I got to do is go home and go to bed. I've had enough caffeine. See, I had 3 cups of coffee at work, and then when I say cups of coffee at work, I mean 20-ounce cups of coffee. Then I had 2 more cups of coffee at breakfast at the end of the shift. So no major concerns for the general public at this point that we know of. I mean, it's all related to that, certain things, and it's all just isolated with them. So nothing major.
Well, I got a question to get things started.
That's a surprise. You are so quiet, Dave. I forgot you were here.
Along the lines of security that we've been talking about, and a lot of times, in my opinion, the appearance of having law enforcement around, in my mind, can be a good thing. Be a very good thing for churches. What are the chances of getting, routes during services from our local law enforcement folks to come, basically drive through the park and take a look, or do you have that kind of staff to do that?
Yeah, I mean, it's as simple as letting it be known that you would like that for the most part, and then most crews will actually do it and say, hey, this church has said they'd like somebody to drive by, during service time. So, I mean, you don't really want probably somebody driving through when they're letting out or right in the middle, you know what I mean? So, drive through around 10:30, whatever. There's got people meandering around or whatever. Yeah, that's just simple asking a question, saying, "Hey, we like that." Places do it all the time. People do it all the time. Again, we just had one. A guy had feels that there's some criminal activity in his neighborhood. And bad part is, it's literally a alley that runs both directions, but it's basically a back driveway for all the houses there. But he's had some damage and stuff, so he asked if he could get extra patrols during the night. People do it all the time. They hear stuff, they see stuff, so they'll ask for extra patrols. If something happens, normally for businesses, and again, this is when I know I'm getting too old to be in this job. The young people don't understand, and the young people we get, that we hire, that manage to make it through the academy and stick around, seem to only have one goal in mind, and that is, I'm a cop. That they don't know what it means to be a cop. Absolutely none of them know how to patrol. Patrol has become a very, very, very lost art. At the end of training last time, I ended up with 2 brand new guys on my crew. So, of course, I watched them for a couple times and going on a night turn, and I got one of the new guys doing 40 miles an hour down Main Street, which is a 25-mile-an-hour zone. What are you seeing? So, of course, I yelled at him, and then our last night turn, I split it, and I took him. I said, listen, I'm going to show you what patrol is, because where's it at? These things. Downfall of today's society, because everybody is here. So they think patrol is, I go out, I make a pass, I don't see nothing, I go sit in the parking lot until shift change. We change zones on night turn. And they sit there, and that's what they do. So my crew has a 30-minute limit. If I see you sitting in a parking lot for more than 30 minutes, I'm going to come kick you out and make you go do something. But nobody teaches them. A lot of our supervisors now some are older, some just don't really care, I guess. But when I was brought up, and when I first went through my FTO program, we went with a different officer, and each officer had different strengths. One guy was a patrol guy. We literally, still in the year 2000, got out and shook the doors on Main Street. Nobody does that anymore. Not a single person. I don't go that far anymore. I still drive by every business on night turn, and I spotlight every single door. Neighborhoods. Can't get people to go into neighborhoods. They're wanting the traffic stops because everybody preaches numbers. Your administration. Oh, our arrest numbers were down. Your tickets were down. You guys need to make more tickets. You need to make more traffic stops. So that's what they do. They'll run Pennsylvania Avenue. They'll run Main Street. They don't go back down off Color Road. They don't drive through those neighborhoods. They don't go drive around out Circle Drive. They don't go down through Kings Creek. They just don't drive it because it's out of the way and they're not going to catch anybody down there. So they think. So it's become a lost art. But we can definitely like I said, we can pass it on, if you guys want it during services.
On that thought, who would we talk to if you wanted to get a patrol during our services?
The best way to get it done, to get it out for everybody, is to call the chief. He's in there Monday through Friday. I would give you set hours, but most days he's there 7 to 3, 7:30 to 3:30-ish. Could be 8 to 4. But he's there Monday through Friday, most weeks for sure, unless he goes on vacation to Mexico again or something. But he's the best one because, like I said, he can put out a memo, or he'll have dispatch make up an entry so it goes into our turn report. So he's the best option. So you could tell me, and I can say, hey, make this pass on. But once it gets read after one shift, if there's a crew that's off, they're not going to know it. So if the chief doesn't puts out a memo, it'll go on every OIC's clipboard, so everybody will see it. So that's just the best route to go. No problem.
Is it illegal for somebody to come here and cause a disturbance and, like coming yelling? Are people allowed to
Disrupting a church service. It is an actual crime. Yeah. Yeah. It's jailable. I mean, we can actually send them to jail for it. There are certain things that are not jailable, but that one is one. Before that became a law, because that law's probably been around for last 10 to 15 years. So before that, it would be a trespassing, which basically we'd arrest them, we'd take them to station, and we have to turn around and let them go, because you can't send them to jail for trespassing. But with the disrupting a church service, you can. They also have it, you can disrupt the schools, you can be charged with that. So if a parent shows up at a school or a school event, a school sanctioned event, they can actually be arrested and charged for disrupting a school assembly. It depends on what they're saying. If they're saying, I'm going to blow this place up and they have means to do it, it can be. It all depends on wording, what was actually said, how it was said. It was directed to a certain group. If they came in and said, I'm blowing up all churches of Christ or whatever, depends. We're like I said, weird day and age. Hancock County, which is where the church sits here, is fairly lucky with their magistrates. They're pretty conservative and take the laws for what they say. There are some, though, that they look at that and go, yeah, but they didn't really mean it. So they'll just dismiss it. No. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, you can take him, control him, get him back out into the foyer, or like I said, get him into one of the side rooms if they're not, it's not during a class or something over there. You don't want to do that, of course, but if you can bring him up to this room or something like that, yeah, you can definitely, by all means, take him and pull him away and keep him until we show up, and then we'll go from there and see what the actual situation is. And like I said, if he came in, he can't actually be charged for disrupting a church service. And again, I mean, they're already in here. You're not going to be expecting it. So they literally could just stand up and do whatever. 9 times out of 10, somebody might have an inkling because they may have tried to talk to somebody prior to that. So, and again, I know you don't want to gossip, or you don't want to start drama, or you don't want to do something, but if a person starts making certain accusations or certain threats, do you have to blow it out of proportion and tell the entire congregation or anything? No, but again, if you have a security team or the elders or the deacons say, hey, listen, so and so came to me and he was saying this or she was saying that, and kind of getting a little concerned, maybe we should try to talk to them. And then you do that, and then like, no, I don't think that really works, so we're gonna start keeping a better eye on them. Yeah, I mean, that's the best you can hope for, because you're not going to know. If they don't say anything and it just happens, again, it's all reaction. And can't harp enough. Now it's stay alive, so you're basically fighting for your life. So that's what the quickest way you can end it, however you have to. Like I said, I mean, you don't necessarily want to make the ultimate sacrifice, but sometimes if that's the only means you have left, and you know that you can stop it and save 150 other people, most people are going to try to do their best anyhow.
So if you would have a situation like that, and the person would proceed to continue to be a threat, is there anything you can do, like serve a warrant to protect them from doing that, or any type of situation like that?
And it would, but I have never seen it done. Don't know if it can be done. I'd have to look into it. If like a business or church could actually get some type of protective order or restraining order, West Virginia only has two types of orders. You have PDVs, which is domestic violence, so it has to be a domestic situation, and we now have PSOs, which are personal safety orders. I've never seen one issued to a corporation, business, or a church, so don't really know if you could do that. But there are means if you know their family members, and again, if they're talking stuff that is not normal, if they're making threats to self-harm or harm other people, you have the Healthways, which is a mental facility, which you can, if you know a family member, that's the best route to go. Talk to them if they are aware of these things as well. Try to get a mental hygiene done on them. They are not very good. We have a gentleman we've dealt with numerous times. He's made several threats. He had to be tased at one point because he had a weapon, and his mom was denied a mental hygiene on him. And she was also denied a protective order because they didn't feel he was a threat to himself or others. So they're not easy. And people tell us all the time, can't you just take them to get, psych eval? No, we can't. Pennsylvania, again, it's different. Pennsylvania, they can order a pink slip on you, and it's a 72-hour automatic hold. And law enforcement can do it right there on the spot. We have no means to do that here. And for us, we could do it before. We could file for mental hygienes, but we would have to literally take the person into custody, wait till they got everybody caught out, go sit through the hearing. And then a lot of these people have been through the system. They know how to play the game. So when they get in front of that hearing examiner, they say all the right things. And they're like, nope, they're good. So you've just spent 4 hours on all this for them to just say, nope, he's good. And they send him back out, and then you deal with this a week later. Same thing. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard. I haven't seen it anywhere in any state so far, or anybody I've talked to. No, it's definitely not in this state. But mental health care is horrible. Everybody, again, they don't know how to help, or they get frustrated too easy because dealing with somebody who has a mental issue, it's just like any other, it's like an addiction, it's like anything else. If they don't want the help, it's kind of hard for you to help them. But if it's going to make it easier on them, they're going to say what they want what you think you want to hear, just so they can get it done and over with. And you're not helping the situation because they don't want the help. They have to want the help just like an addict or whoever. If you don't seek out the help, you're not going to get it. You're just going to go through the motions, and it's going to be what it is. And there's no way to actually make somebody get help. Because if you are, you're infringing on their rights, and it's sad. But anybody else?
What would the response time be from when somebody called? If there was a shooter, someone called 911?
It depends on where people are at in the city, but pretty much from anywhere we are at to get to anywhere else in a full-blown emergency situation, lights and siren, is 10 minutes. I can tell you with the last 2 instances we had recently, response time on both of them was 2 minutes or less. And I don't know where any of those people were when they got the call. The ones I can tell you were probably on station, which means they were downtown and had to go to the hill. The other one was in the middle of the afternoon, so people could have been anywhere, but it was 2 minutes. So usually less than 5 minutes in an emergency type situation, we can be anywhere just because, again, we have a 5-minute minimum, and hopefully people are spread out where they need to be. Guys know pretty much if you're going to stop, they're supposed to stop somewhere in the middle of their zone. So if they're assigned to zone 2, which is everything on the hilltop, they should be somewhere basically in this area. So they could be anywhere from, like sitting over a Goodwill lot, shop and save lot. the church lot at the end of Penco. That's where most people sit, somewhere on Three Springs, Cove Hill. I mean, that's usually somewhere within, half a mile of here is where people are stopping to sit. It's where they should be stopping to sit if they're parked on during a shift. Downtown, usually most people are centered somewhere around Weir Avenue. So from there, you can be anywhere within, again, a couple minutes. So our response time is usually pretty good. Better than average.
I didn't grow up here, but it just seems like in the last really year or so, maybe more, statistically, what's been the increase in violent crimes for you've seen the last 2 years?
Violent crimes toward the general public or violent crimes in general? In general, we have spurts, and it usually does go in spurts. You'll have 3 months where you might have several, and then you might go a year to 2 years without anything. Right now, we seem to be in an influx of them. Most of them have already been, they've been out to the public, they've been on the news. We've had 2 murders just within the last 2 weeks. Just had a stabbing last night. Again, but they've all been domestic situations. So it hasn't been a random stranger on stranger or anything like that. Hasn't been anybody going into a shopping mall or just walking up to somebody and doing it. It's all people who have known each other or family members, children in common, husband, wife, ex-husband, wife, those type of situations. So general public wise, there's not too many random situations. We haven't had just a random murder. I was talking to somebody earlier. I don't think in 10 to 15 years. So they've all been domestically related. And neither are we. So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely not something you should have to deal with here, or that anybody should have to deal with, because you're not counselors. So yeah, if somebody calls and says, I feel like I'm gonna blow up, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm afraid I might hurt someone or whatever, and they show up here, by all means, call. Again, we don't have the means to get them the mental help they probably need, at least not immediately, but at least we can control the situation and get them away from here and having to put that on anybody in here, because, I mean, we do get paid to do it. So, I mean, and you guys definitely aren't getting paid to have to try to deal with that kind of stuff. But at least we can get them away from here and we can talk to them. Just because they usually do typically talk to somebody who at least appears to be an authoritarian figure. So we can at least get them, like I said, outside, away from here, and then we can go from there. There are certain things that if they say certain things, if they say they want to harm themselves, or they already have, or if they make a threat that they're going to kill somebody that is close by, we can call the squad. Then the squad actually has to take over, and the squad, rescue squad, basically they don't have much authority anymore either. They have to call a doctor through MedCom, and a doctor can actually order them to take them to a mental facility, or to a hospital. Once they get them to a hospital, if they take them to Weirton Med has no mental psychiatric facility. So basically they'll just hold them until a hearing can be held and hopefully send them somewhere else. If they could take them over to Trinity, then Trinity will do what they can, but then it becomes, well, you just brought them across state lines. So now they're in Trinity. Now they can't force them into anywhere or get them anywhere in West Virginia. So if they're a West Virginia resident, See you later. But it's a rock and a hard place we're in. West Virginia has nothing local for psychiatric help whatsoever. And like I said, the ER, they'll just ask you normal questions. How you feeling? You got any pains? You got any aches? No. Okay, why are you here? Well, I was having these thoughts. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. You're discharged. And back out they go. And there's nothing that nobody can do for them. So.
Quick question for you. In your travels and with the department there, are you seeing an influx of the donating types potentially coming across the border in the South? Are we seeing any of that into our communities now that could potentially add to a situation?
As of right now, no. We have had numerous illegals here for many years now. The entire Frontier group that bought out the old mill property down in North Maine, pretty much every single person they employ will show you a Dominican or Venezuelan ID card, but they're not from there. They have no West Virginia driver's license. They have no passports. They have no nothing. They literally are here to work and make money. They don't cause any problems. The main issues we have with them are DUIs, because they'll just drink and drive, and again, they don't have a license. So that's the most we can get them for, driving without a license and driving drunk. You can call Homeland Security all you want. If they don't have a group of 20 or more and they have not committed any type of violent crime, you won't even get a call back because they don't care.
The reason I ask, I know doing some of the grounds work around here, I've seen groups walk through and they stick out like a sore thumb.
Now, so the ones that you're going to see here walking, they all either work at Chico Fiesta or Crazy Mexican. And again, the vast majority of them are illegal. They live in these apartment buildings here. Pulis rents out to them. No real problems with any of those ones. Again, other than DUIs or they've been drunk over here screaming, yelling with each other. That's the most we've had with them. And again, they won't deport them or anything because they haven't committed any violent crime. And they say all they're doing is trying to work. So, but we haven't had anything like they had like in Maryland, Virginia, DC, where everybody was getting shipped to and nobody's getting checked and they're just basically getting off a bus and they're, freewheeling wherever they want to go. And now there's an influx of them because there's a lot of Venezuelan, Cuban, Mexican gang members that are coming across because they're not IDing them. They found a lot of people from the Middle East that have come over, again, no papers. They're actually criminals that have gotten out of prisons in their own countries and just got on planes and then came across the border. So could they end up here? Highly unlikely, just because we don't have means of support like the bigger cities do, where they're just basically handling money. West Virginia doesn't have the means to do that, so 9 times out of 10, they're not going to come here. Like I said, if they do come here, it's for these random little jobs, so they're not looking to do anything major as of yet.
My concern was, I was just curious if this was the Twitter area or the Pittsburgh, Ohio.
No, pretty much all the ones that are here, they've been here for quite some time. I mean, they'll spend 5 or 10 years here before they'll move on, or they'll bring in a new batch. But most of the ones that I see walking, I've talked to, or like I said, you'll go into Chico and they'll wait on you, or I don't go to Crazy Mexican, but you go over there and they'll wait on you. But they're not transporting people and dropping them off and then move them somewhere else or anything like that we've seen. Like I said, most of the ones that are here, we're known, we've had contact with, or we see them all the time regularly. So, It's not gonna, no, it's not considered a violent crime. Haven't been to that one yet, so if they did, yeah, they'd have to deal with it. But I mean, that's the problem with a lot of laws is until it happens, nobody touches it. Just because it can happen doesn't mean it ever will. So they won't do anything to fix it or change it until something does happen. Yes, because so if you look and see a lot of them, the cars they're driving will have South Carolina, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia. They'll all have out-of-state plates because somebody down there is or at least has a legal ID and will buy the car, and then they will let them use it. So they're driving this other person's car, and yeah, most of the times, the ones that we've actually pulled over or had DUIs, the vehicle did not come back registered to them. There's been a few because you don't actually have to have a driver's license to get a vehicle registered. All you need to have is proof of address, and you don't have to have a proof of ID to rent a place. So you have a water bill in your name, you have a gas bill in your name, you take it down to DMV with a title to a car, and they'll give you a registration plate. So, yes, Mark.
In the last 5 minutes that we have, could you, as best you can, say if you're a church that's just getting ready to set up some kind of program, like a checklist. I know we talked about a lot of different things, but if you could maybe give, give like a concise.
Again, like a lot of things you always did here, we already talked about, setting up maybe an actual security team, an actual legit evacuation plan, setting up practicing those, because like you said earlier, it can be chaotic. So it's one of those things, if you don't practice it, and schools do, and they still do the old fire drill thing, practice evacuation plan. You don't have to, and you don't want to surprise, or you don't want to let people know, because if you let people know that you're going to do it, if people are like, all right, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? I know. So it's something you spring on them. So if you start doing this, and even with smaller groups, when they have finger food fellowship or something, say, hey, let's go over this, and just take that few groups and then work it out, through certain different things at different times. Hey, if we'd like this group of people to come a little bit early for the services, we're going to do an evacuation drill or go over evacuation plan. And you can just start setting it up and start practicing. Again, like I said, you have most of the things covered here. Keep all your doors locked the best you can at all times. You don't have a lot here. Again, these are only 2 really. Is there still the one at the end, or is that still blocked off? It's gone since they built that. So it's just to have these 2 and then the main back ones. Yeah. So as long as you keep these fairly well locked, again, you're good. Alarming them. You can buy those little cheap door alarms at Lowe's or even Busy Beaver or whatever, just the little magnetic things that it breaks that magnet. So if somebody does pop that door off, it buzzes. So you can put those on the doors that you don't have somebody watching all the time. So that, if somebody does, and again, once that door shuts, it goes off. So it's not something you have to go and reset or anything like that. It's, I don't know how much, only a couple dollars anymore, I think. They said you just set them up on the door. It usually goes on the top. On the door, once it breaks, it'll sound the alarm, and then once it shuts, it goes off. So it's just something you can put on the doors to do that. Normal things like fire extinguishers, because fire extinguishers can actually come in handy for a lot of different reasons. Not necessarily for a fire, but if you do have somebody with a gun and somebody happens to make it a fire extinguisher, you pop that in their face, that's a great distraction. They're not going to be expecting that, and it's really not harmful to them. It's literally just a powder. It might burn them a little bit, give a little tingly to their skin, but it's not going to maim them or anything like that. And again, they're for so many different things. Depends on the size. You can actually throw them at people. You can hit people with them. They become a multi-purpose tool. So, but just for general, as big as this place is, it doesn't hurt to have a few of them spread out in the corners just for anything, because if somebody does come in and just wants to be a nuisance and starts throwing stuff down and starts catching the carpet and stuff on fire, I mean, all this stuff can go up like that, so quicker you can get to it. Do you guys have cameras for when anybody's not here? Just I one. Okay. Doesn't really. Yeah. Those are deterrents too as well. A lot of people that are looking for stuff, they don't want to be on camera, so even if they do know they're there, they're going to try to disable them. So make sure you keep periodic checks on, make sure they're all still working, make sure they're free of cobwebs and spiders. I got cameras on my house, I'm constantly getting notifications because the spider just built a web over it and I got to clean it out. So you make sure they're clean. Some of them would get cloudy, so just make sure that the lenses and stuff stay clean on those. Other than that, let's see. I don't know if it had a list in here or not that I didn't go over. Which means they'll call us. Yeah. Did you do that? Did the cop show up? No. Oh. You were that quick? Did you have the proper passcode? I was thinking, usually they'll give it. You sometimes give it a minute before they call us. If they can get a hold of somebody that has a proper passcode, they won't send us right away. What else? Anything? Dave, you have any more random questions I can try to answer? It doesn't work getting fired up at my age. Causes heart palpitations. Thank you, Tina. And I don't know who else back. I'm going to give Mark a link because, like I said, the program that everybody uses around here is Alice. It's not a certified instructor and can't really instruct or teach any part of their program unless you're an instructor, because they kind of funny about that. But there is a little online video watching course that takes like an hour. You go through and it explains the whole Alice program. It goes through a couple different scenarios. At the end, there is a test. It's a 10-question test. You have to score at least an 80 to pass, but it actually will print you out a certificate that you passed and you had the training. So again, if you're going to put like a safety team together or something, at least hopefully those guys can get to it. Like I told Mark, I paid for it. It's supposed to be allowed as many people as wants to, and it's good for up to a year. So hopefully he can get the link, he can send it, email it to whoever, and as many people that want to take it can take it. And if it doesn't work, let me know, and I'll see if I can get another link for it, and we'll go from there. But it's, like I said, it's a good little thing. Even for me, I've gone through Alice for schools probably 5 times, and I said this one's just a little bit different because it's specifically for churches. So
what we'll do is we'll just grab a sheet of paper. If you'd be interested in receiving that link, you can write your name down and your email, and as soon as he sends you that link, I'll forward it to you. Thank you again, Scott.
you're welcome. Thank you.
Feel free to hang out here.
I'm trying to find it.
Jim Truckney leaves.
Beloved Father of Heaven, we are thankful that we've had this opportunity to gather together this morning. Men and women and others
members that have attended this morning will take this information back to their congregations and build strong safety plans to protect their congregations. We pray, dear Heavenly Father, that we may never have to be preventing a break-in or anything like that. We pray that the main purpose of us to gather together is to study and grow and obey your word. We ask it all in Jesus Christ's name.